A Quiet Rune Scribe. Written by Blue Dragon 64. Chapter 13. September 10th, Tuesday. It's been almost 2 weeks since I bought the strange egg, and it's done nothing but absorb all the life magic I give it. The only other difference is that the egg shell is still getting darker and darker with time. Beyond that, the new magical light was released to the public at large, and to say it's been a success would be an understatement. That's not to say that every pony is talking about it, and nothing else. Most simply buy it and are happy to have it. Most not caring who invented it, or why, which works just fine for me. I've kept up with my normal training, and I've been trying to find something new to work on. I have a good number of bits now, so I can get a lot more creative with my work. Yesterday I realized that all information in Equestria travels through letters and messengers. There's no way to send a fast message. The best you can do is get a fast Pegasus to deliver your message. But in my old world, we could talk to each other around the world. And we didn't even have magic. Just tech and know-how. So, it should be possible here. The main problem being that there are no spells that I can start with and modify, which means I'm gonna have to make my own spell for this. This is a bit of a problem for me, as I don't want to release potentially dangerous knowledge into this world. So, I probably need to use a symbol as the base and starting point, and work from there. But that means I need the right symbols to start off from, and the only ones I could find that might be useful was one for sound, and the other one is for the light symbol that I used in my new light spell. And after some thought, my best bet is the light spell. I'm hoping I can modify the spell to send a low wavelength of light, much like radios from my old world. With that in mind, I've modified the spell. This is the easy part. The hard part will not be sending the signal, but receiving and translating that into something understandable. I'm going to try to send and receive a signal first. I grab one of my rubies and sapphire, and I place them both on my desk, and I start with the ruby. I enchant the gem with the experimental light spell. As I draw the matrix, I fill a blank spot with the number 100. I don't remember much about radios from my last life, but I do remember the basic idea. A low wavelength of light sent out with something to receive it. The really big problem I have is, I don't know how that wavelength of light is translated into sound. The number is set to the specific wavelength to send and receive. I originally wanted to send a message through a linking spell, but had to scrap the idea, as the further away two linked things are, the more magic it takes to keep them connected. I then enchant the sapphire with the same spell as the ruby. I push the magic into the ruby, seeing no difference when it's activated, but I feel the magic slowly draining out of the ruby. So, I think it's working. I move to the other gem and activate the second part of the modified light spell, the part used to receive a signal it's supposed to create, a small light from within the gem when it gets a matching signal. After a moment, I see the sapphire light up slightly. After that, I move the ruby with me, while leaving the other sapphire on my desk as I move to the other side of the room. As I walk away, the glow from the sapphire grows weaker with distance. After I reach the other side, the glow stops, the sapphire no longer receiving the signal from the ruby. I expected problems, but for it to be so weak that it can't even reach 20 feet, I may have to rethink this. These gems don't hold a lot of magic, but to be this weak means something else is going on here. I make some tea and start going through the spell matrix, trying to figure out what's wrong. The math is all correct, so I can rule that out. The only thing I can think of is the symbol that the spell uses as a base. I'm starting to go through information I have on the light symbol, but after going through all of my notes and finding nothing, I am thoroughly stumped. The spell should work, but something is definitely wrong with it. I spend another hour reading through my notes slowly, and after I find nothing again, I stop. I rub my tired eyes in front of me and all of my notes, and after a moment I start putting them away. Seems like this spell is the best for now. I'll have to read some books to see if I can find out what's wrong. I place my notes back in with some disappointment, but that's the thing with experimenting. not all things work out well. I decide to get some air and leave for the markets to see if I can find anything of interest. As I walk through the markets, I see many different stalls selling many things, and as I move through them, I see a stall run by a species I've seen before, but I've never met. A griffin was standing at a stall, surrounded by knives and blades. I spend a few moments just staring at them before approaching. As I walk to the stall, I get a better look at their stock of many different weapons, mostly blades, but I do see a crossbow lying in the back. I reach the stall and start looking at different weapons. Need help finding anything? I turn to the voice and see the griffin now staring at me. You have any daggers? Preferably with a curved blade and short handle? They look thoughtful at my request before grabbing various weapons and showing them to me, and after a few, I see one I like. It's a simple dagger with a curved blade and a wood handle and a sheath. After looking it over, I decide to buy it. The total price for it was 50 bits. After that, I continue through the markets, and after a while, I don't find anything I want, so I decide to leave. But not wanting to go home, I walk out of the market and towards the shops. This area is still part of the market district, just shops instead of stalls. As I move through the shops, I pass several before I find a garden shop that looks good. This shop isn't like the flower shop I've been to in the past. This shop has many different types of plants, and is bigger, so I decided to find some new plants to train with. I enter the shop and see an earth pony mare at the counter. They notice me entering, and smile. Hello, what can I help you with? She asks me in a cheery tone. I spend a moment thinking before answering. What plants do you have with magical effects? She raises her brow at my question. I have a good amount, although they can get expensive. That's fine. She nods and moves through the shop, showing me different plants and telling me about them. And after a while, I buy 2 plants that catch my interest. The first is an iron oak sapling that is known for having very strong wood, but also for growing very slowly. The reason I bought this is because the wood of the tree is even stronger if it's grown in a place with high life magic. The interesting thing about this is that the more life magic around it, the slower and stronger it grows. I may not have enough room for a tree, but if I try growing the tree very slowly, and with a lot of life magic, I wonder what will happen. It also makes acorns like other oaks. Apparently they are insanely tough. The other plant is a companion vine. The vine itself is uninteresting, and looks just a green vine with tiny white flowers and inedible seed pods. Despite this costs twice as much as the iron oak sapling does. What makes this vine so special is that when it's planted, it creates and releases amounts of life magic, making everything near it grow faster and healthier. This effect isn't enough to grow something like bloodleaf tea, but it is enough to help grow other plants faster. That's why it costs so much. The iron oak costs 60 bits, and the vine is double that. Most who buy these plants are rich and have a lot of space to work with. I may not have much space, but I can't control how large the plants get, so it should be fine. Right now, both plants are small. The oak is only a foot tall, and the vine is only sprouting. I buy both along with a large pot and enough soil to fill the pot, and some extra soil for all of it. Combined, it's around 100 pounds, so it's heavy, but only somewhat. I start floating everything and leave the shop after paying and head home. After making it to my room, I move my plants around, placing my new tree in the left corner of the room to give it some space. I fill the bigger pot with soil and plant the iron oak inside. The soil then I start giving it life magic, and focus on growing it to a small-sized tree, almost reaching my ceiling, but not touching it. After the oak is a decent size, I grab the companion vine and plant it in the same spot as the oak. After planting it at the smallest tree base, I start growing the vine, guiding it to grow up the trunk, and then along some low branches, before stopping its growth. I wanted the vine for obvious reasons, as it will help with all my plants. As for the iron oak, I got it from materials as, well, the bloodwood is strong. It's a little soft, and has a tendency to split and splinter when being carved, making it hard to work with. While oak does crack, it should be much better than bloodwood. That, and depending on how much life magic I use, I can get stronger or weaker wood, giving me more options. I start to put more life magic into one of the iron oak's branches, trying to keep it the same size as I regrow and strengthen the wood. As I do, the branch grows some, despite my best to stop it, and after some time repeating this, I'm done. So, I grab my knife and cut the branch off before helping the tree heal, and the cut wood where I cut the branch off. I cut the leaves off the branch along with the usable wood as I cut the small branches. I noticed how hard they were, half an inch thick, branch taking a surprising amount of effort to cut then. After some time, I'm done, leaving me with a branch of solid oak. I strip the bark next this time. My knife is somewhat struggling even with its sharp edges. The cuts aren't smooth. After I finally get all the bark off the branch, I take it to my sink and start drying it out. Even with the practice I've had, it takes 3 hours, mixed with breaks to rest and regain my magic. My tea is helping to speed up the process, but after I finally finish, I have a branch 2 inches thick on one end and 1 inch on the other. I try to cut the piece of wood off the branch with no real progress, as the wood is simply too hard to cut and carve. All cuts I do are uneven and are ruining the wood. In hindsight, this is something I should have thought of. As for how to fix this, the answer is like many things. Magic. Specifically, enchanting my knife to be sharper. There is still some daylight left, so I leave my room and start looking for books in the library. After checking several sections and a few shelves, I find something that will work. A spell to make a sword or any other weapon sharper. The spell is rough and not very well made, but fairly simple, so after 2 hours of messing with it, I get something usable. After returning to my room, I place my notes on my desk and grab my knife, before enchanting it with the new spell. After doing so, I try to cut the branch again, and while it's still hard, it's usable now. I should probably make a better spell for this later, as while this one works, there's only so much I can do in 2 hours. After I cut a piece of wood off, I put the rest of the branch to the side and focus on the piece I have. I start whittling down the piece of oak, cutting until I have a rough cube, 1 inch thick and 2 inches long. For now, I don't have a use for this, but it's big enough to test its properties later. I spend the rest of my day carving blocks of wood from the branch. After I finish with the branch, I stop and put everything away. I move to the kitchen and make myself a grilled cheese with some tea. After finishing my food and checking all my plants, I take a shower and head to bed tired. I am glad that it's not just like, oh, I have this idea and it works just like that, you know? It's a more realistic way of depicting this magic system that seems to be being built, in front of our eyes with this story. And I'm glad it's just like that. I think it adds a lot more depth, even though it'd be so easy to be like, ah, yes, light travels like this, so, and then this works instantly. He's got the framework down, so I wonder if next chapter we'll get basically a two-way radio. We'll see. Who else we'll also see are my wonderful Patreons. Thank you, my tier ones, Angel Booth, CH, Dreamers Portal, HKH4, aka Texture, Hyperlink, Jason, Night in Game, Lord High, Lost Nebula, Macario, Michael, McDonald, Ponyboy Entertainment, and Redeemer of Dark. A large thank you to my tier 2s, Captain Blue Shadow, 212 Trooper, Andrew Ingram, Chaotic Mist, Cloud Zaza, Danish Dash, Dillian Musser, GMX 2000, Elemental Wolf, Solus Eclipse, User 1842, Weewoo, Mackenzie McColes, G-Man 121 Garza, H1 Wolf King, Ken Panzer, Mr. Crazy Deacon, Nobody, Nocturne, Rocky 2522, Styx, Potato 20, Saint Gonk, Rihanni Dragonwolf, Sword Brother and Mordred, and Voyal Cod. A big thank you to my previous sign tiers, Dark Guardian, Danish Dash, Maverick, and User 1842, and a large thank you to my current ones, Bis Eclipse and Silent Titan. I appreciate your support so much, and it means a ton to me. That aside, however, this has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.